So at this time, I'm really excited to introduce Alicia Cook, who will introduce our panelists in a little bit and also facilitate things from here. I just want to let you know a little bit about Alicia, and I'm hoping she'll let us know what she did today, because I don't think that's in our bio. But Alicia Cook is an established writer and award-winning activist from New Jersey. Her best-selling book of poetry is entitled Stuff I've Been Feeling Lately, was a finalist in the 2016 Goodreads Choice Awards, and has sold over 50,000 copies. She's dedicated the book to anyone who loves someone battling addiction, and donated the first year of royalties to the Willow Tree Center in Morris County. Her ongoing online essay series, The Other Side of Addiction, explores the direct impact addiction has not only on the user, but the family, and has gained worldwide readership. Her efforts to combat the heroin epidemic caught attention by PBS, who created an episode of the Emmy-nominated documentary series, Here's the Story, around Cook and her efforts, entitled A Family Disease. The episode is dedicated to Cook's cousin, Jessica, who passed away from a drug overdose in 2006. Her work has been published or highlighted on CNN, USA Today, the Asbury Park Press, the HuffPost, LA Times, New York Post, Teen Vogue, and American Songwriter magazine, to name a few. In January of 2017, Cook's writing on the topic of addiction and family was recognized at New Jersey TV's Everyday Heroes event in Trenton, where she received the Special Voices Award. In March of this year, Cook was honored by the Women with Voices Foundation as an influential woman of the arts. On June 5, she will release another poetry collection entitled I Hope My Voice Doesn't Skip. In addition to all of that, she works full-time as a director of institutional communications and campaign marketing at Bloomfield College. She earned her BA in English and journalism from George Court University and her MBA from St. Peter's University. And without further ado, my distinct honor and pleasure to introduce Alicia Cook.
Good evening, everyone. The flu, Alzheimer's, cancer, homicide, suicide, car accidents. The opioid crisis will kill more people in 2018 than each of those, ranging from 12 years old to senior citizens. I've been here since 7:30 this morning talking about opiates, heroin mostly. In the first hour we sit here tonight, 6 Americans will overdose and die from opioids, 2 opioid-dependent babies will be born, and an estimated 580 people will try heroin for the first time today. Each day, approximately 176 people will die from a drug overdose, most at the hands of an opioid, ranging from prescription pills to heroin to fentanyl. There is a direct correlation between prescription drugs and heroin. It is irrefutable at this point. They are chemical cousins, and when the pills become too expensive or hard to obtain, the user will turn to heroin if they don't seek help. No one is above being affected by this. It is very hard to meet someone who isn't at this point. It is in every neighborhood. It could seep into any household, no matter the religion, income, or how great the school system is. No matter if it's a one-parent household or a true nuclear family. No matter if there's a history of drug addiction in that family or not. And heroin is the worst thing that ever happened to me. Heroin for a very long time held the person I used to be hostage. I used to laugh more. I used to be more lighthearted. I tried to remember the moment my world began to revolve around it, but it's hard to pinpoint a date. It is mentioned in nearly every conversation I have, even if it's not said outright, but in knowing glances or pity stares. My normalcy is a charade a lot of the time. Heroin forces me to keep secrets from the people who matter most in my life. I can't tell my family how much pain I'm in because I can't imagine the pain they are feeling too, and I don't want to add to it. Like all families whose path it crosses, heroin has ruined some of the best parts of mine. We have fought with one another out of desperation and out of anger. We have said things we cannot take back. Heroin is the unwelcome guest who has ruined holidays, birthdays, and weddings. Heroin is the elephant in every room I inhabit. If I am there, so is heroin. It's ever present. My daily routine, work and write about heroin. I talk on the phone and have to talk about heroin. When it's really bad, I spend some days sick to my stomach with very little strength or motivation to get out of bed. Heroin took my peace of mind and replaced it with a constant state of worry. The deeper I fall into this world, the more scared I become. I know this drug kills people, but I can't stop its pull. It's out of my hands. Heroin has taken so much from me over the years. Time I can never get back, people I will never see again, and memories I never even had the chance to make. And the craziest part of all of this is that I've never used heroin myself. I've never touched heroin, but I love someone who did. Addiction has such a large ripple effect, and the collateral damage is immense, and what has hit the most and the hardest is the family, the loved ones. In plain English, heroin sucks. It sucks not just in the man that sucks kind of way, but also in the literal way. It sucks the happiness out of homes. It sucks the trust out of relationships. It sucks the dreams from a peaceful night's sleep. It sucks the literal life out of those who use and those who watch those who use. People still roll their eyes when I call addiction a disease. Yet when I call it a family disease, I am not met with the same adversity. Something in that person usually breaks, and they recognize, even but for a moment, that I too am sick, physically and mentally, over what I watch unfold every day in my house. All because of a bag of powder that skulked into my life are the #1 cause of accidental death in New Jersey now for people under 50, killing us more of us annually, like as I mentioned before, than gun violence, car accidents, the flu. I know that one pill can cost as much as $80, but one bag of heroin, depending on where you get it from, could cost anywhere from $4 to $6, which is less than a meal at McDonald's. I know that 4 grains, the width of sand, of fentanyl can kill you without you even having to use it, but if you touch it and it seeps into your skin. I know that Suboxone helps users wean off the drug, but like methadone, it is an opiate in itself and often abused and goes for about $15 a pop on the street. I know that Narcan is the opioid reversal drug, saving hundreds of lives daily, but that users also bring it to Narcan parties so they could get as high as they wish and know that a fellow user can zap them back to life. I know why dealers stamp their wax folds. I know the 3rd day of withdrawal is the worst. Opioids are poison. Each bag or pill, a bullet, each snort or injection, the spin of the cylinder. This is my generation's Russian roulette. I'm sad a lot of the time. A home where addiction is present is oftentimes a very painful place to live. It is hard to watch someone you care about spiral out of control and become someone you can't even recognize when you squint. Memories will flood your mind as you scramble to latch onto just one, happy reminiscence. I'm angry a lot of the time. I used to feel guilty saying that. I used to walk on eggshells and talk and act very deliberately. I was afraid that something I would say would push them to use, or even worse, give up on themselves. You're dope sick? Well, I'm heart sick. I'm happy a lot of the time, which is a really odd thing for me to say when I'm also a million other things, especially helpless and confused most of the time too. But if I learned anything from this, it is families are resilient. After a sleepless night of praying the phone won't ring, or even praying that it will because you just want the cycle to end, the sun will rise and another day of my life will begin. Dishes need to be washed, laundry needs to get done, birthdays need to be celebrated. And yes, some days I'm mailing it in. The fear that comes along with addiction are all consuming, but some days I do smile and mean it. I tell my mother often that we will have good days and bad days, but never normal days. To anyone going through this with a loved one, everything in your power, but save them. Nationally speaking, in 2015, 52,000 people overdosed and died from a drug. About half of those were attributed to opioids. In 2016, 64,000 people overdosed and died from a drug. And again, more than half of those were opioids. We definitely lost even more than that in 2017, though I don't have those numbers yet. A big reason for the spike in death is fentanyl. which is 100 times more powerful than morphine and 50 times more powerful than heroin. It is cut into every single dose of heroin on the East Coast at this point. It is impossible to get fentanyl-free heroin in the Northeast. Unlike heroin, which is derived partially from poppies and dependent on the weather, fentanyl is fully synthetic and made in a lab. It's purchased online in the dark net, and our biggest supplier is China. New Jersey is one of the states hit hardest by this epidemic. Our overdose rate is 3 times the national average. It is the 6th leading cause of death overall in our state. Drugs are killing a record number of us, and early data shows that we've already lost 765 people in New Jersey in 2018, and we are only 3 months into the new year. Prevention models are being attempted. Health insurance companies and places of employment have attempted to make rehabilitation more mainstream and accessible. Forums like this are being held. Recovery high schools are being built, and some New Jersey colleges the public opinion does sway public policy, and we seem to be making headway, and New Jersey is a very progressive state in that regard. So I do find hope in the fact that so many of us are trying to combat this drug crisis, which is the worst in our nation's history.